But through that I got to know another war widow who lived in Guildford, and quite accidentally we started sharing a room. We'd gone to another convention in Oslo, and we went on we'd gone separately to this convention, and we'd both arranged to go on a trip week's tour around further north from Oslo.
Right.
And because there were all these women in Oslo, it was all women on this coach trip, and the courier was a young student who was doing it, was some holiday work. And as usual, of course, you get to these hotels and there's very, very few single rooms, you see. And this poor bloke was at his wit's end to find people who would share rooms. Well, I'd sort of known this girl for some time through BNP, and I looked at her and she looked at me, and I said, "Shall we offer?" And he nearly fell on her next to think that we'd offer to share. And we found that we got on all right, as long as we had twin beds and a ensuite.
Yes, that's right.
And we did it all the time after that. I mean, we went to Canada together, and
very good, isn't it?
And then when there wasn't an international convention to go to, we'd go touring in Scotland together. She used to drive and I used to navigate.
Right.
And it was wonderful.
Excellent. Yeah. What was her name?
Owen Humphreys.
Right.
And she lost her husband on the Burma Railway.
Oh, right.
I lost mine blown up in Germany.
Did you? I never knew.
What year was that then, Barbara? Was that?
45.
45, so it was well after the...
He worked, well, he was stationed in England the whole of the war, and everybody used to say to me, "Aren't you lucky having him in this country?" And he was an ammunition examiner.
Right.
Like, he'd blow himself up any minute, you know, if he...
Exactly.
Duff ammunition.
Exactly, the most dangerous job in the world.
Yeah. He was stationed at Saffron Walden for a long time, and they were responsible for the ammunition that was doled out to the fortifications on the east coast. Whether it got damaged by sea or anything, it all had to be examined. And he was home on leave for VE Day.
Right.
It was May the 8th. It was embarkation leave, because they roped them all these ammunition examiners to help clear up the stuff over the other side.
Oh, right.
And 1st of June he'd gone.
In Germany?
Essen. Ammunition explosion. Never heard why or whose fault it was or anything. But they lost 2 or 3 others at the same time.
That was just tragic. I didn't realise.
Yeah, you sort of, the war was over, you let yourself relax, it's all over, you know. Yeah. But Bob was very good to me then.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's when he started sending me out to do completions.
Right.
Because I'd got a little Morris Minor and could take myself off.
Yes, because you used to go, of course, you used to do personal completions in those days.
Yeah.
I mean, including, you know, if it was up in London, and I used to go...
Well, I got to know my way around London.
Yes, exactly.
When I first used to go, and I'd got 2 jobs to do at separate places, I'd have to go back to Charing Cross or Victoria and pick up a bus again and go, until I sort of found that I could get from one place to the other without going back.
Going back to the way. Yeah. Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Those personal completions.
And I used to get £2 expenses. That was to cover the train fare and
the tube and some lunch.
Lunch, yeah, £2. Yeah.
You could carry the banker's drafts with you.
Oh yes, banker's drafts. Yeah. Yes. I can remember one very exciting one I did in London was to Ouvry and Sons near Westminster Abbey.
Yes.
And was a royal visit coming from Victoria. I can remember, and I'd finished my job and I was coming out, and the streets outside were all lined with military, you know, enemy. And so I stopped and waited and saw the procession come from Victoria with the Queen, and I think it was one of the Danish royals.
Right.
And there was a couple of American women standing by the railings outside Westminster Abbey at the same time as me, and one of them says, "Ain't that something?" That beats. It was one of their famous generals coming back from somewhere around. That beats him coming back. But it was spectacular.
Yeah.
Horse guards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I think that was about the most exciting one I did.
Yes.
And then I did another one. I had to go to Cambridge.
Oh.
There was a man named Few who owned a lot of those little houses along Little Common Road between the traffic lights and where it goes up the hill to the Denby.
Yeah.
On the left-hand side.
He died, and we acted for one or two of the tenants who were buying, and of course we also acted for the building society of the rest of them that were getting mortgages.
Yeah.
So they decided, rather than everybody appoint agents up in Cambridge, well, they sent me, and I drove.
You drove
up and spent the night at the Garden Hotel.
Oh yes, I know the Garden Hotel. I've stayed there in Cambridge. Yes.
And did this all these transactions. The firm got paid, and I got all my expenses, my overnight expenses, whatnot. And the old man was very concerned about it, and apparently rang up my mother to make sure that she didn't mind me going.
Really?
Yes, that was quite a do.
I suppose he was quite a fatherly sort of man in his way.
Oh yes, he was very concerned. Yes, very concerned. Well, you see, at that time it wasn't a job that women did. It was always one of the junior clerks went on these jaunts.
Yes.
Or the article clerk.
Yes, that's right.
And I can remember the first one or two that I did in London. They were terribly surprised when I turned up, you know. Yeah. What? Yeah. Of course, by the time I finished, I mean, they were all doing it.
Yes, but it's...
Yeah.
So what would be your procedure? Because it would all be unregistered land, wouldn't it? And
Bexhill was, yes.
And then
Hastings had been a compulsory area for quite a long time.
Yeah. It was the first one, wasn't it? It was Eastbourne.
1926.
Yeah. But Bexhill was on time.
Yeah.
But would you then, on a completion, would you then inspect the epitome?
Oh,
and
yes.
then mark off
you had to
against it?
because you all supplied. Everybody was supplied with an abstract title, and we had to learn how to do that.
Yes.
I mean, I remember how to space it all out with the provisos and the bit about the description. What was it?
Yeah, the parcels.
Yeah, the parcels.
Habendum and all that.
And the habendum.
Yes, that's right. Yes, the recitals and so on.
Yeah,
but of course, yes, this is before the days of epistles.
No, it was before.
Yes,
I realised when I was listening,
yes,
we don't do those at all.
Yes.
At all.
No.
But you can still read them. They're quite...
you used to, because of course what you used to do, if you take the few transactions, of course you would not, because the Mr. Few would have had a single title to all of the properties, or when you went to completion, you would examine the abstract against the original documents, and you would mark the abstract as you go and signed it off. And then, of course, that was as good as the original.
Absolutely. And you'd endorse a memorandum of sale off on the
That's exactly what you did on the conveyance to the vendor.
And perversely, it's one of the few pleasures I've got in life of doing that with you.
You had to do a first registration.
You did, absolutely.
Purchase, yes.
And of course, that was really a bit frightening at times, because you had a complicated title and you'd paid over the money, it was all done and dusted, all finished, and then you'd go to the land registry and of course they'd raise this
all sorts of things they used to raise, didn't they?
I can remember reading a registered transfer, and it was something like 1920s, and it was perversely, it was on the permanency levels, and I've got no idea why the solicitors doing it had wanted to have it as registered, but I think there was always an option to voluntarily register, and you could just see everyone was straining with using registered land with unregistered parlance. It was just extraordinary.
It's a piece of cake now with it all registered.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Much easier.
Well, yes. Yeah. In fact, of course, you look at legislation today and then go and look back at the 1925 property legislation, and you realise how the command of language that the draftsman had at that time was just tremendous, absolutely tremendous. You just you could read the 1925 property legislation as a first source of law, whereas today, of course, you read the textbook and that'll refer you to it.
I used to have to do estate accounts as well.
Yes, yes.
Oh, amazing.
Yes.
Everyone had a ledger of his own. If it was a biggish estate, you know. Had to do those. Oh. They'd have a fit if they had to do things like that, no?
Well, a lot of it's automated, but everybody still has a ledger of their own.
Yeah.
But of course, in those days, estate accounts used to they'd
double
open up.
Yes, it was on.
That's right. Big pieces of paper, huge pieces of paper.
Yeah.
And we used to have special typewriters that would take.
Oh, really?
Long carriages that would take
what
that.
they call brick. Roller was about that size.
Yeah.
Genuine law stations stuff then.
Yeah.
As in all the apparatus for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the seals as well.
Yeah.
That's all gone, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.